Today is Tuesday, January 25th, 5:15. We are at City Hall Caucus Room, 3rd floor. Tonight, we have I'm the committee chair, Colleen Stanley. I have with me also Mr. Bob Arconti, Mr. Fred Visconti. We have Bob Yemin from Corporation Counsel, David St. Lear, Director of Finance, Dr. Sal Pasquarella, Superintendent of Schools, Elio Longo, Director of Finance for Schools, Angelo Rodriguez, Director of Sites and Facilities. We have Board of Education members, Kathy Molinaro and Joe Scazafava. We also have with us Jerry Charlotte from American Solar Alternative Power, Division of American Carrera Tech, LLC. Right here. And we have, you just said his name.
Yes.
Yeah. And we also have Mr. Rick Palazzo from our Director of Public Buildings. Did I miss anyone? Okay.
Kim,
did you just, oh, and Kim, I'm sorry, Kim Thompson, HR Board Attorney for this school. This is a continuation from a previous meeting, which was August 25th. Doesn't feel like it was that long ago. Where did the time go? So I would like to maybe start this meeting off by, I have our minutes from our previous meeting, and I thought maybe it would be a good idea if we started to go through some of the questions that were asked, and maybe we can get some of the answers. And I'll just kind of glance through them. I think one of the first questions that was asked was by Mr. Arcani, and he asked if the installation of the solar panels would conflict with any of the warranty of the new roof. And I think, Mr. Palazzo, can you address that?
Yes. We talked to our roofing representative, and as long as there are certain precautions taken before the installation of the solar array, there will be no problem with the warranty, continuing the warranty in full.
Okay. And I have a question that would follow up through that. If that is so, who would make sure, and this goes to the gentleman for American Carrera, who would make sure that the prep work follows the roofing manufacturing guidelines? Who would?
Yeah, basically in the bid spec that we would put out for the installation of the panels, we have several different paragraphs which require the installer to coordinate with the roofing manufacturer any penetrations that are made, and to make sure that everything is done to the specs of to preserve the warranty. And that's their obligation. We watch it very closely since we're associated with two major roofing manufacturers and understand the process very well.
Okay, thank you. And I understand that the Board of Education intended to hire AmeriCare Tech as a GC or project manager?
Construction manager is the term in the contract.
Okay, and then since the buildings are the responsibility of the city and not of the Board of Education, do we have the authority, Bob, to do that?
Yeah, yes we do. Well, we probably should get into related issues. I was not at the initial meeting, so it's difficult to glean from minutes, which are,
right,
distilled exactly what went on. Well, in terms of the selection process, we probably should get into some of the.
One of my questions concerning this would be that the building is owned by the city of Danbury, and wouldn't it be prudent if we had the project go through the city? And I wanted to know if that happened, if the council wanted to bid this entire project, including the GC component, would this action impact the funding? It's like a double question.
Well, there's two issues. There's the funding for the solar, which part of the application to the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund is who is the construction manager or installer. So that's, there could be some impact there. I don't know. We'd have to file some new documents with the Clean Energy Fund. Then there's the lighting portion. I don't know if we're talking about that now or not. That also, the grants from CL&P are dependent on the contractor who presents the plan to them.
I think that's one of the questions I had, is how is the funding, how did it go? Did it go through with the Board of Education? They're the signers for this, or, I mean, can you explain to me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, our construction management contract is a contract that we negotiated with the Board of Education and was approved by their board and everything. That contract basically was needed to do the preliminary work and present the application to the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund to get the grant. And then there's a second phase, which is the actual construction management, where we would assist the Board of Ed or the city, whoever puts out the bid spec for the installation and materials, and then administer the construction for the plans that have been developed. One key element there is that the solar system, before the grant money, some of the grant money comes back, it has to be properly installed. It has to be interconnected with CL&P, and those are some of the provisions of our contract that we would work with both the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund and CL&P to make sure that those approvals get done promptly.
If I may, correct me if I'm wrong in this. I think the question is, what risks do you see? Normally the process would be that the city would bid out this project. And, you know, it's a city building, and that's a process that we're required to do, bid it out. What risks do you see us for not bidding this out from your perspective? I mean, obviously you want the contract and everything else, but I mean, clearly, is there a financial risk for this as far as losing grants or whatever? I mean, we could very easily just say, we know right now that you have a plan on the table. We can also, at the same time, put this out to bid and see which one is most cost effective, right?
Well, for two things. The grant from the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund is based on the plans that have been submitted.
Right.
So if somebody else submitted alternative plans, you'd have to go back to the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund, and changes, they might reduce the grant, they might actually take it away, because this grant, remember, we put in the application for this grant 2 years ago, and the fund basically has no more money. So how they would react to that, I can't say. But going back to the other part of your question, the intent of our contract with the Board of Ed is to bid out the installation and the material, just like we've done with several other school districts. And all we're acting as is the construction manager in conjunction with Angelo and whoever else actually administers the project for the Board of Education. So the construction management portion is just a fee on top of whatever the actual bids are. So you had two points there, so I wanted to address that point too. But there's, you know, if you rebid the project, there's a very good chance that you would get less money or no money from the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund.
But right now, you know, unless there's an expiration date on this, I don't know. We could bid this project out and continue to have your arrangement intact, right?
Well, that is the intent.
Okay.
To bid out the project, the actual construction of the project.
But you would bid it out, not the city.
No, the city would. You would execute the contract.
But usually what happens is we bid out the contractor, and then the contractor
We're not
be the
functioning as a
GCI.
general contractor. We're functioning only as a
Source provider? I mean, the funding?
consultant construction manager. I'm not sure how you would want to define it, but providing the expertise for the installation of the solar system.
I understand.
They're the designer of the project. So it would be like hiring a consultant, like a designer, an architect, an engineer, we would go out and get qual statements and award it to whoever we felt was best qualified. I think they vetted that. And then you design the project, they will put together the bid specifications, and then we will bid it through normal channels. That's what I understand, correct?
We would,
Correct.
or
Or
the education will?
they
We
would.
would.
Oh, okay.
Then that's
Do
what
we,
he's- that's
do
what
we
he's
have a
saying.
copy of the grant application and the commitment letter? Is there one that we can have Corporation Counsel take a look at?
There's copies here of the commitment letters, but not the actual application forms. Do you have them?
You have more?
We should have one for the file.
I got nothing.
We didn't have this at the last meeting, and I think it's...
I don't have copies of the actual application.
No, but those are the commitment
Through the
forms.
chair, I mean, that was
Nice binder.
Yeah.
like inarticulately trying to get at
Right.
this,
You gotta keep them on
the
it.
whole bid
Our
process.
resources.
Right.
I understand a little better
Haven't
now.
you read the papers?
So I'm a little more comfortable that the actual bid process is going
That, and that was the second part. The first part, and I think this is the charge that Rick was responsible for, was to ensure that that he's comfortable with you, and that, the first part of it, right? And the fact that it's going to be attached to the roofs, and that's not going to have
Well,
a
it's gonna
negative impact on buildings.
It's going to sit on top of the roofs. It really
Right.
won't be attached to the roofs, and that's a good thing.
Right.
The roofing manufacturers are okay, you know, and the structures will support the weight based on the design that was proposed.
Are you comfortable with this gentleman as the...
He's got a history of performing this type of work. There's other people out there that do it, but you know, you have to find someone that has a reputation that you're willing to work with, and the Board of Ed has vetted them.
And that brought up a question that I had with the capacity of Career Tech being hired as the GC. How do you get paid from this project?
Our contract with the school board is 15% fee on the actual, 12, I'm sorry, 12% fee on the actual costs of whatever the bids
The design
are that come back to administer the installation. And we have our contract has a whole long list of things we do.
But you also said that there's a flat fee on top of that?
No.
That is the fee, the
That
12%?
is the fee. It's whatever,
Okay.
it's 12%.
Well, it wasn't talked about at the last meeting, I just wanted it to come out in this
Okay,
meeting.
sure. It's a 12% fee on whatever the bids are, and then any other indirect costs, engineering, whatever has to be done for the project.
To date, there's only been a single capital outlay in terms of contracting with the ASAP, and that was, I believe, valued at $3,600 to design and prepare an application and file an application on behalf of the Board of Education.
So, if I may, that's the part that was not bid out through the city, but it was vetted out, and it was reviewed by the board, and, you know, but the rest of the project will be bid out according to city bidding specs, or bidding process. That's my understanding. Yours as well.
That's fine. Now it's my understanding.
Just,
You need to clarify. There's a
yeah, you
section
can
to
clarify,
clarify though.
just to clarify,
Not
there
the lighting, then.
there are two projects on the table.
Right,
A solar project and a lighting project.
right.
The solar project, ASAP serves as construction engineer, construction manager for the complete project. On the lighting project is a turnkey in-house project with ASAP.
Oh, you'll do the whole
Correct.
thing?
Yes.
You bid out with local people though, or with local?
Yes.
All the subcon will be local.
Yes.
But the lighting, you'll do yourself, that won't be
Correct.
bid out?
No.
Okay.
And there's not a 12% fee on top of that?
No.
All right.
No, it's a fixed price contract.
And I know one of the other questions that was asked, I think by myself, were there any examples of other projects? And Mr. Isban listed a number of schools, which I didn't get the names of the schools, but I think I made a phone call to Elio and to Mr. Rodriguez. I thought maybe you can make a comment if you had followed up on a
Yes.
referral.
In the packet, in the back, you'll see we have 6 referrals, 3 from school systems and 3 from private businesses.
And did you call these people
Yes, I
and find
did.
out
Yes, I
and they're
did.
all happy with,
Yes, absolutely, and the letters of
and the
reference are
savings
in
were there?
The savings were there, the numbers were accurate. In fact, in some cases, the numbers came in better than what was proposed.
Nice.
So there, you know, the savings were there, and even better.
If I may add to that, we were in this very identical situation with the John Winthrop Middle School, Region 4, identical contract with them. The bids came in last week, almost 15% under budget. We had 10 bidders for both sides of the equipment installation. So we were very pleased with that.
Well, I know that I've been to a lot of the Board of Education meetings, and we're always asking them to come forward and try to think out of the box and come up with some energy or savings that can help with the high numbers that we have. And I think the project is a good project. My only concern was the way we went about it. I feel that the school building should, if you had, contacted the Board of Ed, that if you had said, you need to go to our Director of Public Buildings, and we went through it that way. I don't understand why the school board took on this responsibility when, your expertise is educating our children and not running buildings. Unless that's your expertise. But I mean, it's a school building.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
it's owned by the Danbury,
Sure.
city, the city of Danbury, and not the Board of Ed.
And if I may, over the years, we have partnered with the city. This is not the first project where we seek to have efficiencies via lighting upgrades. This is my 10th year with the Board of Education, and this will probably likely be my third, if not fourth project in terms of energy efficiency. So we have partnered along the way, and we can continue by partnering either with this project or any other project.
If
I
I
could just
can,
make a note, Eileen help us.
if I can. Basically, when it comes to trying to save money, oftentimes there are a lot of great ideas, but just not enough people to assign to look into these ideas. And so when there's a good idea and somebody's willing to take the ball and try to do the homework on that, we obviously, if we have faith in that person, that they're going to probably, do the homework on that idea. And usually if it's internal, then we'll let them go on their own, and then they'll bring the idea back, and then we'll do the vetting at that point. We have that on the city side quite often, and then it leads to significant savings. And I think in this case, they saw an opportunity to save some money and provide, a good idea to the city, and that they maybe, and I said this right from the start, that the issue that I saw was, was it going to be attached to the roof? The actual physical contact to the building. And once that was probably dealt with, properly dealt with, then, it all in all, it's probably a good idea, so.
Mr. Visconti?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through the chair, Mr. Alonso.
Alonso.
Could you explain just exactly how this is going to be attached to the roof, the mechanism?
It's not going to be attached to the roof.
I'm sorry,
Mr.
not
Visconti.
attached to the roof.
It's going to sit on top of the roof. Right?
Yeah.
It's going to sit on top of the roof. It's going to be a ballasted application, so there's no penetration, no anchors as it was presented to me. It's going to sit on top of the roof and be a ballasted array.
The solar panels sit in an aluminum racking system at different angles on different parts of the roof at Park Avenue and at Ellsworth. And that racking system, concrete blocks are put on it to the appropriate weight to meet the wind requirements. And so the only penetrations would be if penetrations were needed for the electrical runs going down into the electrical rooms, if they can't be run outside of the roof. And typically we would have the roofer come and do the penetrations and the ceilings, the seals of those penetrations for the installer. there's a chance some of the bidders and some of the installers are actually roofing contractors themselves, but that would be the only penetration if necessary for the electrical conduits going to the electrical rooms.
And none of that would void warranty or harm the warranty?
No, we have specific, like I say, we have specific wording that we recommend in the bid specs, and we watch that very, very closely.
It doesn't, because of the way it sits on the roof, it doesn't affect any of the weatherization of the roof or any of the other?
No.
Okay.
In the wintertime, do we have to have somebody up there shoveling it off?
No, two things.
How does that work when, in the wintertime when
Well,
you need it
first of all-
most, when the snow, all the snow we've had?
Well, we don't get much snow.
Well, I mean,
The solar systems are...
not only just the snow, but the dirt that kind of
Yeah,
moves.
the
Does
solar
somebody have to
system-
clean it?
No, because the rain will wash it off. These are glass panels. They're pretty, they clean themselves pretty well. But in the winter is the least productive time for solar panels because of the lack of sunlight and the angle of the sunlight being more south. The systems are really set up to produce the maximum production is in the summer periods when your electric costs are the most because of the added demand charges and things. So, and secondarily, these are on an angle, so the snow will come off. But if they do get sunlight, the functioning of the solar panel actually warms the panel and it helps melt the snow that's on it.
Okay, and I just have one little comment too. And this goes to Mr. Palazzo. In the letter that you sent or gave to us, you said that Carrera Tech and the Board of Education staff had studied this project and that the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund feels it's a worthwhile solar project and they support it. I want to know if you support it.
I'm in favor of alternative energy sources.
Are you in favor of this project? No pressure.
That's a loaded question.
Well, I mean, I wanted you to take a look at it.
Oh, I did. I mean, you know, Madam Chairman, I looked at the project and I specifically addressed those areas which I was asked to address, which was first and foremost the roof warranty and the structural component. We delved into those, and I think we've provided the answer that the council was looking for. The amount of time that I spent talking with American Carrera on the project was not as extensive as the time I put into exploring the roof warranty issue and the loading issue with the structural engineer. But from what I have understood from talking to the representatives from Carrera Tech and from the Board of Ed, they have done a lot of research on it. They have been working on it for a very long time. And, you know, if the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund is willing to support it at the level they're willing to support it, I would probably bite at the apple. Because if you can get the funding from the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund at the level that I believe they were in for, which was early on when they were paying a significant number of dollars per kilowatt to buy the project down, they're not offering that type of funding anymore.
And the last question I had was with the, what happens at the end of the contract? Do we buy the installation, and what if we want to remove it from the roof? Who pays for that? Is it us?
Well, you own it.
We own it?
You own it outright.
It has a useful life of at least 25 years, maybe longer. There are systems in California that have been in place 30 years that are still producing electricity, so unless something happens to the school underneath, it's highly unlikely that you would be removing it.
Mr. Arcani?
Thank you. Through the chair. Now I just got this.
You like that?
What is it going to cost us for this project? What do we have to write a check for?
So, Councilman Arcani, total local finance need is approximately $1.3 million, $1.4 million.
$1.3 million, $1.4 million.
Call it $1.4 million.
That's going to come out of your budget?
No, that would be of private financing. We like to work with SunTrust. The Board of Education has secured several projects financed, I believe the city as well, correct me if I'm wrong, with SunTrust Finance. They have very competitive rates. The total project combined value of the lighting and solar is approximately $2.5 million. Of the $2.5 million, we stand to collect approximately $1.1 million of grant funds through CLMP and through CCEF.
So $1.3 million.
So about $1.3 million. We're looking to at about 50 cents on the dollar of subsidy of grants on solar and approximately 30 to 33 cents on the dollar on the lighting project.
So we lost the CLMP deadline at just December 31st, 2010, according to our notes here.
December 31st, we have an extension till the end of this calendar year, December 31st of 11, on the solar projects. The lighting project, our extension period is till the end of May, so we have until May 31st of 11.
Could one be done without the other?
Yes.
What's the breakdown between the two of these things?
May I have a
Please.
handout?
Thank you.
No.
And the lighting fixtures will be by the end of the year.
We have it on one page. Just one page?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Everybody got one?
So, through the chair, there's two parts to this thing. There's efficient lighting for inside the buildings, then there's the solar panels.
Correct.
So we could do one without the other.
Correct.
What's the breakdown between the two? What does one cost and what does the other one cost? So let's just say we just wanted to redo the lighting inside the buildings.
Right.
What's the bite on that?
On the lighting, it's about $1 million project. Grants totaling approximately 340, call it 350. So we have approximately 35 cents on the dollar on the lighting project and $1 million value total cost.
And then the solar panels are $1.5 million then.
It's about $1.5 million where we stand to benefit approximately 50 cents on the dollar.
Will all the lighting fixtures be upgraded in the schools that you mentioned? All lighting fixtures or
No, just they're targeted ones that had the most impact that would qualify for the maximum rebate from CLMP, mainly the common areas. And we have a long list. I mean, they surveyed all of the 3 buildings, and we have a computer program that looks to see what's there. Some of the stuff is relatively new, some of it's not relatively new, so some of it's not worthwhile replacing. And so it's targeted to the most bang for the buck.
Do you have, in your stack of paperwork there, in your research, if we were to just do the inside, if we were just replace, well, I'm just picking one of the projects here, if we were to just replace the bulbs and inefficient electrical equipment, what kind of savings would we have with just that? Do you happen to have that? What are we looking at per year?
I have. May I add?
Please, yeah.
Okay. With reference to the handout, the center columns titled cash inflow are the estimated energy cost avoidance. For lighting, monthly cost avoidance of approximately $19,000. So the $19,000 were to annualize the $19,000, figure to $190 plus another $40, about $230,000 per year of cost avoidance. Leftmost section is the cash outflow, and these are estimates given on estimated loan terms and rates. But in the lighting, it's approximately $11,200 per month. At 11 grand, annualized is $132,000. So there's a potential here to have a cost avoidance of $240,000 and an annual cost of $130,000. So out of the gate, to answer, Brett?
So out of the gate,
out of the gate, we save money out of the gate on the lighting project.
And how much was that? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. First line of the matrix.
Yeah. Yes, I see that there.
Okay. So on a monthly basis, we're comparing 11,000, and if you'll reach across to lighting of 19,300. So it's 8,000 per month. The annualized is about 100 grand.
Yeah.
Furthermore, the rightmost section of the spreadsheet, where I have favorable variances.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If the energy cost avoidance of $19,000 on a monthly basis compared to the cash flow of $11,000 holds true, then we have a favorable variance on a monthly basis just shy of $90,000. $90,000 based on the estimated annualized cost avoidance of $316,000. Not to further complicate matters here in terms of finance, but I have what is known as a savings cost deflator. In other words, our projections could come in 28%, and we would then be at break even. So if we would like to address the project based on break even analysis, for every dollar out, we have a cost avoidance of $1. We can fall short on our energy savings by 28% and still hit the break even target. There's a potential to recognize approximately $90,000 of savings in year one.
Just for the light, just to change the light bulbs.
That is correct.
The 28% is the cushion.
Yeah.
Can you go through that with the solar again?
On the solar?
Yeah.
Certainly. The solar, I have an estimate, or I've used an estimated life of 20 years on the solar. And the financing for the solar is twice that of the lighting. It's a 10-year term on solar. On a monthly analysis, the cash outflow for solar. Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Monthly cash flow on a solar project is approximately $7,800. Cost avoidance is at $7,000. So the solar project for years 1 through 10, the cost avoidance lags behind the actual loan payment. It is not until the 11th year that the city and the Board of Education would have a direct benefit in terms of cost savings. Hence, that is why I packaged and presented to the council and to the Board of Education as a combined project. The combined project, if we were to install the lighting and solar starting this year, with a blended average, the city and the Board of Education would have substantial savings. To your earlier point, can the council address the projects as separate projects? Most definitely. But for clarity, or to clarify here, on the solar project, it would not be, based on my estimates, not until the 11th year where there's a favorable outcome in terms of cost avoidance on solar. And that tends to be just the nature of the improvements. The lightings there's a direct immediate benefit. Solar, there's a lagging indicator.
Through the chair, can you just clarify that? Pardon my technical ignorance, but what's the difference between installing the lighting and installing the solar? As soon as the solar's installed, is it not going to generate savings the day it's installed?
Yes, but it would perhaps just use an analogy to compare propane gas burner to an oil burner. One is more efficient than the other in terms of energy savings. So here you're paying for, we're to pay for solar upgrades that perhaps are considered or are less efficient in terms of generating electricity as compared to the upgrades in lighting.
Would that be accurate as you see it too?
Yeah, and these projections, we bend over backwards to be conservative in the projections of the output of the solar system. And I think, as Angelo may have seen from some of the references in the packet that are operating systems, almost all of the systems that have been operating for us for a year or so are exceeding the original projections. So the other issue is, as your electricity rates go up, I don't believe in Elio's, he's kept a level savings.
Correct. Sure.
But as the rest of your utility bill goes up every month, that's, you're saving more. That portion of the energy that's coming from the solar is not costing you any more, it's saving you more.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a couple questions regarding this solar energy. Will we be producing more than we're using?
No.
What about in the summertime, when the schools are basically shut down?
The Park Avenue building could, I'd have to go back and look at the electric bills. There is a chance that in the summer, the Park Avenue School would, because that's a fairly sizable system. The Ellsworth system is very small. There's no way that would. If that happens, your meter runs backwards. And so the utility company is paying, in effect, paying you.
They must buy.
Yes.
They must purchase.
That's called net metering, and that's the law.
So that's a good thing.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's
so you
a good
don't
thing.
store it, we just
We
get
don't store it, we just
no,
get credit.
savings.
You either use it or send it back to the grid and get a credit on your
Mhm.
bill.
So, and what do we get paid per watt, or how does it?
Kilowatt hour.
Kilowatt hour? What do we get, what is the cost of that? Or what is the,
Hold on a second. When we ran our analysis, we were using about 20 cents. It's probably, well, one building was 16 and a half and the other was 20. Ellsworth was newer. So that number, that could be, I'd have to look at the recent bills and see exactly what you're paying. We did have all the bills for Park Avenue. In fact, when we did this analysis, Ellsworth wasn't even finished. But it's in that, typically the CLMP rates are, and I think you have a commodity provider too already.
That's right. But you would only get back, I'm sorry.
So it's $2.5 million today to install all this. Thereabouts, right?
Thereabouts, yes. Little project.
And we're gonna save
how do you feel about it?
20 years, $4 million. Am I reading that correctly? We're looking at probably save right around $4 million. Is that what I'm looking at here?
Of cost avoidance, yes.
Cost of it. And then in 20 years, we got to replace this thing.
Yes, but President, our copy, the $4 million, I would compare the $4 million to our cost of finance, which is $1.6 million. The other $900 to $1 million, that's grant monies. So the true return is you have $4 million on local taxpayer of $1.6 million.
Okay, and to Mr. St. Hilaire,
Yeah.
you're our finance director, how do you feel about this?
Well, I think,
I'm not an accountant, I need your expertise. How do you feel about the savings?
well, I think that the savings speak for themselves. I mean, that's to me, a no-brainer. I think the only issue that would probably stand out would be you got a $2.5 million project, right? $1 million of it hasn't been bidded out, right? That's the lighting project that you'll be doing on your own. Are you willing to bid that out to be competitive with that? Or is that contingent upon the whole project?
Yeah.
And that kind of goes with, and goes with my initial question. Do we lose the grant in our application, all that, if we start from scratch? And I think you addressed that earlier on, in which you said there's a possibility of that. So I think to make, you've got $1 million that's basically been awarded to somebody that hasn't been bid. So how do you make yourself feel comfortable with that? Well, you kind of have to see what the market is out there for that piece of the project. But as far as the numbers, I mean, any finance person, and Elio knows this, he's done a great job on this.
So,
The payback is all there.
so what you're saying is, can we do our own internal, can we
I think from
find out if,
it's what you would do is you would try
We
to
have to
check the
December
lighting
31st.
project to see how much a similar lighting
No?
project would be
well, that's for the lighting,
for
I'm talking
this,
about the
and to
solar.
see if it's in the ballpark for what he's trying to provide. And that's the unknown right here. Is he's providing $1 million worth of service for this lighting project? Is that in the ballpark?
Yeah, I have no idea,
Well, I can't tell you either.
right.
But and then you run the risk. If it's, if it's close, if it's, maybe somebody comes in at 950, then you run the risk of possibly losing a grant.
Yeah, right.
You don't want to give it up for somebody coming in $50,000 lower. But if it's somebody coming in at 700, then you take another look, you know?
The numbers for both lighting and solar were vetted by CLMP and CCEF
That's a documentation I think it would be worthy to
to
provide.
projects of comparable size
Okay.
as well too.
We have that in our, I think they gave us some.
If I may add,
Yeah. Yes.
two things. Of the $1 million lighting, the grant's about $350,000. Our contracts basically specifies you never have to pay that. We take
You're
the
funding it.
risk of getting the grant from the CLMP. And second, it's basically a proprietary design build. In other words, you'd have to go out and have somebody go through design it themselves to do a bid, an alternate bid.
On
And
the
you- and if-
solar piece, the lighting is,
No, I'm talking about the lighting.
The lighting.
CLMP can come in and help us with that.
But the rebate is based on the
CLMP
design.
provides that.
No.
I understand the lighting is actually probably a bit simpler than the solar piece.
Right.
We've done a lot of, and correct me if I'm wrong, this Rick, the lighting is you know, a bit more straightforward. But but that's the lighting is the lion's share of what you're getting. And you know, and I'm not trying to give you a hard time here. I just want to make sure it's comparable, and I think Elio is kind of addressed that. And you know, I didn't see that part of the package, and I apologize for that. I just want to make sure that that is in fact in the ballpark. And if and you're not going to go out and bid that out if it's in the ballpark.
Right.
It's been properly vetted.
I think the issue,
Yes.
we were concerned with that as well, and that's why we had to push the button about comparability. And when they got it certified through that organization, we felt comfortable.
Okay.
Because we were at the same place you all were at. That's why it's taken us so long. That's the way.
You don't. Good.
Well, I guess I look at this economy and all, I like to think of our needs and our wants. It would seem to me that the lighting thing has been said a no-brainer. I mean, we make money, or we save money, right from the get-go. The solar, I have some question on. I mean, if it's gonna take us 11 years to break even on this, maybe we could wait a little while on that. And since one is not contingent on the other, I mean, I'd like to know if we at least consider.
Do you think it's a good idea for Mr. Yeaman to look through?
Well, I think we're going to have more. I mean, we just got this now. I mean, no way I'm going to be able to.
Do you feel it's important for you to, I mean,
Well, you know, through this, I think it's more a policy decision that we're at than some technical,
okay.
something technical in here. You know, obviously we'll look at it. As a part, I'll look at it and we'll make a decision now. It's a business and a policy decision, really, that the councilman is focusing.
Mr. St. Hilaire?
If I may, Elio, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm reading this correct. We're looking at a monthly solar of 7,700 versus 7,000, so 700 times 12.
Correct.
Okay. So you're looking at, you know, 12, what, $7,000, $8,000. You know, it basically for $8,000 a year extra. And these numbers are probably conservative when you consider the electric rates.
Yeah.
And the amount of electricity, and this doesn't take into account, correct me if I'm wrong on this, the amount of electricity that may be generated during the summer that would be fed back into the system that you would get credit for.
No, it does.
This does take
Either
that.
avoided, yeah, there's so
Okay.
much produced at the given rate.
And there's
Okay. So you're looking at, with that assumption in mind, you're looking at probably additional, you know, $8,000 to $9,000 a year for the first 10 years, which gets paid back in the next 10 years, several fold. Basically, you know, actually just say it gets paid back within the next 10 years. So you're prepaid, right?
Correct. You're prepaying, and it's a variance of 10-11% per year. That the 8,000 on the $8,000 per year is somewhat nominal when you look at the total cost of the project. It's pretty big.
It also
I think
doesn't
so.
take into account, and I think you alluded to
I really
that,
I think
increases.
so.
Right, it stabilizes your electric rate. Your electric rate is what it does. It stabilizes your electric rate.
But the schools in the area as well.
It helps to
Towards
stay
the
low.
standards, that'd be the first.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I speak. I chaired this committee for the last 3 years, and Mrs. Melinero has before this. And you, the council, and the city have come to ask us to have the bonds.
Yes, we did.
And that's what we tried to do.
Right.
We've asked probably the same questions, half a dozen, the same questions you guys have
Right.
asked, I'm sure, I mean, a dozen times. We're not here trying to sell you anything. We're trying to look for a cost avoidance over the years
Right,
to save you money, because you're the one that's gonna pay our electric bill.
right.
You pay our electric bill. If our
Well,
electric bill
taxpayers do,
goes
yeah.
up,
Right,
yeah,
right,
the
yeah.
city basically
Right.
pays.
Absolutely.
We put it in our budget, you pay us. We're looking for cost avoidance.
Right.
If it looks good to us, we ate this up for 4 years. I'm not trying to here to sell you anything.
Right.
No, but
If
just
you go-
specify,
if you-
obviously, we
Mr.
didn't-
Arcani, if you feel this is not right, I mean, this is your call.
No, I just
Say
wanted,
that, just specify.
I just want to make sure that
We didn't
you.
know that you did that.
Yeah.
We
Or this- this way, I didn't know.
vetted this thing for 3 years that I've been on there. And you guys know I'm no liberal.
Yeah.
I'm not a
No,
liberal.
Mr.
and
Scott, I had no idea that
Yeah.
that happened, I just found out that now.
I'm no liberal. I chewed up every
You know,
point
now we
that
get,
that was
you know,
came
then we
up.
get this, you know.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying,
Understand.
but it's not something that we're not looking for the career tech. That's your call.
Right.
I mean, that's whatever, how this
Well, we
gets
didn't get
bidded
to vet out Carrera Tech. We let you do that.
Yeah,
Right.
we did the
Right,
boots on the, what they call it, on the ground, that work for you.
Right, you
And we
could've-
we did all the work and we gave it to you, try to save money.
right,
Of course,
Right.
it's your call.
right.
It's your
Mr.
call.
Visconti, you had a question?
Thank you. Through the chair to the Corporation Council. Can we come up with a motion tonight to make a decision, yes or no, without you coming back to us after looking at this, the contract?
I would assume you could, because I'd be surprised if there's anything in here, you know, technical nature that, you know, would be determinative of whether you're gonna go forward with this or not. I think it's really more of a policy decision. And you could make a contingent on us reviewing this, and a business decision than it is.
Thank you.
Obviously, the financing is a very important part of this whole, I mean, this is the whole deal, and there's just no way we'd be able to spend any money like this.
If I may address
Yes.
the financing, just, it would most likely, like with projects like this, we would go out for the lease financing with the school. You know,
You'll help out with that.
well, we would, you know, as Leo mentioned earlier, that, you know, we would use a company to do the lease financing. It would be over, you know, whatever number of years that we have, you know, most likely probably, we'll probably charge.
5 on lighting and 10 on
Yeah.
solar.
They'll do it. Okay.
I just have, you mentioned that your lighting system was proprietary,
Yes.
so we're married to you in the future to have any repairs done or.
Well, you get the warranties, yeah, sure.
How is,
Well,
how
no,
long is
I
the
mean,
warranty?
It's proprietary only in the
it's not
design.
Only in, oh, I'm sorry.
Only in the
I'm
design.
sorry, I'm sorry.
In other
Okay.
words, we go
That's-
through and look, we pick, it's standard equipment that you know, you can
Okay.
buy
To get the
anywhere.
warranty.
Okay, well, that's,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't know if you were making your own ballasts or whatever. and if
No,
you had to-
definitely
we were
not.
stuck with you with it forever. and,
Definitely not.
Not, let's say there's anything wrong with that.
Definitely not.
Okay.
And to Mr. Rodriguez, do we have the capabilities of taking care of this once it's installed and?
Absolutely. I mean, the life of the equipment that's proposed has a longer life than your average ballast. And Mr. Palazzo is familiar with the projects that we've done in the past. I think the last one was done at this level, at this size, was what, 7, 8 years ago?
Could be that long.
Yeah. And the ballasts have a lifespan of at least 10 years. So Rick can speak to the amount of reduction because the ballast replacements, for example, fall under his responsibility, and that has reduced substantially from that last retrofit. So, you know, the equipment has the lifespan, and the maintenance is easy. The bulbs are energy efficient, they last longer, they burn longer. It saves labor for custodials, you know, to be replacing bulbs, and it also saves labor for the city's electricians to be out there replacing ballasts. So it's a win-win all the way around.
Mr.
I
Arcani?
have another question. During the course of all construction, there's always questions and issues that come up on it. Who, sir, do you report to as far as the city goes in the event there's a question or concern or an issue that arises? Who, is it Mr. Rodriguez or would it be Mr. Palazzo during the
You're going to tell me. You're going to tell me.
Right
No,
now
no,
we're
no.
going to tell you? Or they're going to tell you?
No. What I'm asking you, sir, is when the project, if this project gets approved and it's started, and an issue or concern arises, who with the city are you reporting to? The Board of Ed people? So yes, Mr. Sure.
I mean, I'd have to talk about, my view would be that it would be, because we rely so much on the city, be the voter to help.
Both.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Rodriguez and Mr.
Yeah,
Palazzo.
sure, and Mr. Idarola as well, which is very knowledgeable. I mean, we usually do these things all together and to help each other. So that's how I would see it, to make most sense. Because if they see something we don't, boy, they're the ones that help us out.
Because we all know, and anybody who's done anything, there's always something that pops up
Yeah.
that was unforeseen.
Yeah, no, we don't have propriety over it.
Okay, I didn't know who
No, I think
specifically.
that's who that's what you probably did in the past anyway, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a joint effort. You know, because we're directly in the buildings and we're there, we would be more available. Any questions that would arise, we would certainly communicate with Mr. Palazzo and work together, and you know, we've done this in the past.
We generally,
Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, we generally sit on the same construction progress meetings.
Okay.
And we've done this for other projects, whether it's a lighting project or an energy conservation project. You know, we both sit in on the construction progress meetings.
Madam Chair, this will be on, if I may, through Chair, if my understanding is right, this will be during time that the school will be closed, or it won't affect our educational process, am I right?
That was our other issue that the
That's
kids.
what we were doing it when schools are progress. This will be on time at night, which was one of our concerns. We won't lose any school time or instruction workers agreement.
I just have one quick question too. When it comes back to the install for the solar panels on the roof, you will be subbing the work out.
We bid out
Who-
to the spec.
Right. And you will have a contractor do the install.
Yes.
Okay. And you will oversee the project as a GC.
Construction manager.
Construction manager. But who will Carrera Tech guarantee the proper install? Or do we have to, is it our job to make sure that the person that wins the bid,
Well,
do they guarantee the proper install?
Correct.
I would assume, since you're making a percentage on this, that you could maybe extend the warranty that is done correctly, and we wouldn't have to have a middleman in there. No? I mean, if I'm hiring a GC to do a roof on my house.
We're not a general contractor. We're a construction manager. You know, you might have a general contractor come and do the installation. We're gonna watch over and administer the construction to the plans and specs. Yeah.
And you're going to watch over them to make sure that it's installed correctly.
Correct.
And you're approving these, I'm sorry, you're approving the subcontractors?
In the other situations, we've worked with whoever does the bidding and reviewed them. We've asked for qualifications as part of the bid package, and then made a recommendation to the city, whoever the school official was that actually issued the contracts. We made our recommendations. In the other case, it was a building committee that actually picked the contractors based on our recommendation.
Okay, I have one more question. Go ahead, Mr. Visconti.
Through the chair. Who picks the overseer, the supervisor? Do you pick that person?
We have our own project
You have your own
managers.
project manager?
Yes.
And then we go down the line and we're gonna run into subcontractors, right?
Those are the people that are going to bid to you, the city.
Okay. And what you were saying is that the question was just asked,
Right, well, you oversee them,
you're gonna oversee everybody
that it's done
plus the
correctly.
project manager, or is this the job of the project manager to oversee the installation is right and everything's going?
It's our company,
The company.
whoever in the company.
Right,
Project
I'm not
manager,
saying
our
you
partners,
personally,
yeah. Yeah, it's our company as construction manager to oversee, make sure it's installed correct per the plans inspect, make sure all the inspections are done, make sure we get the money from CLMP, make sure Connecticut Clean Energy Fund, and make sure we get the interconnect. All those things are really fall under our, in conjunction with the winning contractors to make sure that all happens.
So the ball literally bounces back to your company if something goes wrong.
In the end of the day, yes.
Thank you.
That's all I care about, that somebody is responsible.
We're responsible.
Get that. Is there any other questions? Would anybody like to make a motion?
I would at this time, if I may. I recommend that the Board of Education, through the Superintendent of Schools, enter into an agreement with CarreraLLC for the multi-year financing and acquisition of a program as proposed of energy-saving conservation and solar energy measures with rebates and funds initially available and appropriated, subject to the standard future non-appropriations clause in any contract or agreement executed.
Can I have a second?
Good? Yes. Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you very